السلام عليكم.
Mega Goal 1. Common accidents.
Did you hurt yourself?
No, I'm okay.
Because he was wearing a helmet and knee pads, he didn't hurt himself.
Ouch! I got a shock.
So did I.
They didn't turn off the electricity, so they got a shock.
The driver wasn't injured.
Neither was his friend.
They didn't hurt themselves because they were wearing seatbelts.
How did you cut yourself?
I tried to open the can with a knife.
If you use the wrong equipment, you might hurt yourself.
The most common causes of automobile crashes. An average of 17 Saudi Arabian residents die on the country's roads each day, according to a report by the Saudi General Directorate of Traffic. Approximately 1.2 million people die each year on the world's roads, and that number is expected to rise by 65% by the year 2020. 1. Distracted drivers. Many accidents occur when drivers don't pay attention and take their eyes off the road. Many occur when drivers are talking on their cell phones, adjusting the radio or CD player, or reading maps or even newspapers or other documents. 2. Driver fatigue. Drowsy and tired drivers are a danger. They may misjudge traffic situations, fall asleep at the wheel, or go off the road. The most common time to encounter tired drivers is between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. 3. Speeding. Speeding increases the risk of crashing, reduces the amount of time necessary to avoid a crash, and makes the crash more severe if it occurs. 4. Aggressive driving. Here are some characteristics of aggressive drivers. They ignore the safety of others and take risks, such as by tailgating, driving too close to the driver in front, using rude gestures or verbal abuse, and not obeying traffic signs. 5. Bad weather. Heavy rain, snowstorms, high winds, and fog make driving more difficult. Drivers may have trouble seeing the road clearly. Drivers should slow down, and if necessary, pull off the road until the conditions improve.
A.
How did the young man hurt himself?
He fell off his skateboard.
B.
I once slipped on a wet floor and broke my arm.
So did I.
Most of the accidents involving young children happen in the home. Children are naturally curious. They explore and want to find out about things for themselves. If you leave a child out of your sight for a minute, the child will usually get into something. You should try to keep anything dangerous out of the reach of young children. It's very common for children to swallow their parents' pills because the children think the pills are candy. Any sparkling liquid might be confused with soda. The kitchen is a common place for children to have accidents. The stove seems to attract children most of the time. They want to check out what parents are cooking, so they knock over pots and pans and often burn themselves seriously. Electric sockets are another children's favorite. Make sure the sockets in your house are fingerproof. If you live in an apartment building and your building doesn't have window bars, keep all the windows locked in case children want to climb on the windowsills and look out. It's even worse if you have a balcony. Some people actually build safety nets to prevent children from falling off balconies. But I think parents' approach to dangerous situations is the most important thing. including things shown on TV. Don't let your child believe that he or she can fly or climb up the side of a 40-story building. Wearing a superhero costume doesn't make anyone a superhero who can fly. If you teach your children how to deal with danger, you will help to keep them out of harm's way.
Ulf. Myself. Shelf.
Ult. Result. Belt.
Accident. Restaurant.
Wrist. First.
And. Sand.
So how did you hurt yourself?
I fell off my bike.
Really? So did I. My motorcycle skidded on a patch of oil on the road, and I crashed into a car. The last thing I remember was flying through the air and hitting the windshield. I woke up in the hospital.
Were you wearing a helmet?
Yes, luckily I was. That's what probably saved my life. How about you?
I was cycling in the park, so I didn't think I'd need a helmet. I don't like wearing helmets. They're uncomfortable and unattractive. This squirrel came out of nowhere. I swerved, lost my balance, and hit a tree. I got off lightly, only a few bruises and a bump on my head.
It was your lucky day.
Yeah, that's too bad you broke both legs. You're going to be stuck in that wheelchair for a while, I guess.
Look at it this way. If I broke only one leg, there might not be enough room for all my friends to write their names on the cast. Hey, would you like to sign your name?
Unusual accidents and deaths. Many people are interested in stories of unusual accidents. Some of these stories have happy endings, but some, unfortunately, have unhappy ones.
Unhappy endings. According to the legend, the ancient Greek playwright Aeschylus was killed when an eagle dropped a tortoise on his head. The bird was trying to break the tortoise's shell on a rock in order to eat it. Aeschylus was bald, and the eagle thought the unfortunate man's head was a good rock on which it could break the shell. An 8-foot-tall ostrich was seen weaving through heavy traffic on a Saudi Arabian highway near Abha. One of the drivers filmed the scene and uploaded it on the internet. No one tried to stop and catch the 180-kilo bird that was taller than humans and ran at almost 70 kilometers per hour. It had probably escaped from a farm and ran into heavy traffic instead of the wild. Some people worry about being hit from things falling from outer space. There is only one person in all recorded history who has been killed by a meteorite. Manfredo Satala. The tragedy happened in 1680. Ahmed Ali lost his 8-year-old son in a drowning accident at a friend's house. His son had been invited to join other children at a friend's house to play and swim in the pool. According to the invitation, a lifeguard was going to be present. The young boy was really excited and begged his father to let him go. So Ahmed Ali picked him up from school and drove him to his friend's house before 1 p.m. That was the last time he saw him alive.
Happy endings. A German soldier was riding in the back seat of a World War I plane when the engine stalled as the result of an unusual gust of wind. He fell out of his seat while the plane was high above the ground. As he was falling, the plane's engine started again, and he landed back in his own seat. The pilot was then able to land the plane safely. Bob Hale jumped out of an airplane in November 1972, but his main parachute failed to open. His backup parachute also failed. Bob dropped about 3,000 feet, 900 meters, at 80 miles, 128 kilometers per hour, and hit the ground face first. After a moment, he got up and walked away with only minor injuries. It was an amazing escape. In September 2007, Phil LaMattina escaped death while he was driving at over 300 miles, 500 kilometers per hour in a drag race in Brisbane, Australia. Phil was racing down the track when his car became airborne, split in two, and burst into a fireball. He was knocked out, but he survived. Although he was in the midst of the ball of fire, Phil was burned only on the tip of his finger. When his brothers later showed him the video of the accident, Phil couldn't believe he was watching himself, and that he had such a lucky escape. Railroad worker Phineas P. Gage was working with some dynamite when it exploded unexpectedly. A bar that was 3 feet 1 meter long and that weighed 13 pounds 6 kilograms went clear through his head. He remained conscious, but was unable to see out of his left eye. After a while, his sight returned and he fully recovered.
The accident. It was morning and my older brother was driving me to school. Suddenly, a speeding car crashed into us at an intersection and threw us into a telephone pole. I was fortunately wearing my seatbelt, but I still managed to hit my face on the dashboard. I was unconscious for some time and woke up as I was taken out of the car and put into an ambulance. The driver of the car that hit us was also in the ambulance. I heard him say he was 90 years old. I was 15, scared to death, and likely to end up with a scarred face for life. I started yelling, "Please stop driving, stop driving." I could not stop. I don't know what happened to the man. I never saw him again. I was released from the hospital 2 weeks later. Since then, I have always been a cautious driver and advised others to be careful.
إن أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والاشتراك في القناة.
دمتم بود ومحبة، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.